All right, cool. Let's hop in. Grab something to write on if you've got it handy. Topic today is fasting, and the scripture that I want to share with you on this. I got it queued up in chat. Here we go. Is Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. So this teaching block on a fast, I'm going to speak on it from two perspectives. One, the spiritual, and if you guys have been in the Word, you've studied the Bible at all, you know that Jesus fasted for 40 days when he was in the desert. All of Old Testament has practices around fasting. Typically, the fast was a way of a sacrificial offering of self to be able to cleanse the body, cleanse the mind, and enter into a holy period. Was also there's a lot of evidential support of fasting being a tool for holistic cleaning and also like support of our nervous system and body. And so that from a biblical standpoint, that's that angle. From a scientific standpoint, as we have increased our ability to understand what's going on inside the body, there are significant scientific benefits to eliminating food. And so when I talk about fasting, I'm talking specifically about food in the context of this teaching, but I'm also going to talk broadly that when you remove things from your life in any capacity, things that you're normally very used to, it creates clarity and it creates healing. And so we all have things we get to fast on. Fasting is one of the 4 disciplines of building faith. So when we talk about faith, fitness, family, and finances, each one of those has 4 disciplines, 4 pillars. When we talk about faith, the first one being prayer, it's one of your first disciplines. And the second one is scripture, understanding the word. The third discipline of faith is fasting. And the fourth discipline of faith is teaching, discipleship, sharing the message. And so these 4 parts create essentially the pyramid or pillar of faith. So you want to deepen your faith. You got to pray, you got to read, you got to fast from things that are distracting or are not in alignment. And then you have to be able to teach and disciple. So those make up essentially the foundation of faith. Fasting from a spiritual side, again, it helps clean the mind and the body. And that scripture is such a great reminder of it. Use your body as a living sacrifice so you can renew your mind. But from a scientific side is really where I want to spend the time. Because anytime we remove something from our life, there's going to be the initial hunger pangs of wanting to reach for it. And so Art talked about fasting from social media, and the impulse right away when you remove something is to go pick up your phone. All right, I'm triggered. I'm distracted. I'm bored. I want the feeling of ease and comfort. So I'm going to go reach for the thing that I'm used to. And so great being able to create a little bit of space. And that's all fasting is. It creates space. It allows you to think more clearly. It allows you also to be more sensitive to the whispers of God. And so if we're constantly full, we can't hear the whisper of God. If we're constantly full, we can't hear the hunger pangs. And one of the most powerful things you can do as a man is stay in a state of hunger. And to stay in a state of hunger, you think about a lion that has not eaten for 24, 48 hours. He's ferocious. He's violent. He's going to push through obstacles. He's going to push through challenges. He's going to pursue that which he wants. A lion that just ate, and you've seen this before, fat and happy on the savannah, and like he's pretty useless because he's gorged himself to the point where there's no longer any hunger. His biology has put him into a state of digesting the food rather than seeking for something else. And so this happens also with commissioned salespeople. You get fat and happy on the hog, you make a bunch of money, and you have created a certain level of feast inside the season. So the hunger goes down. The hunger for more goes down. The hunger for the next hunt goes down. And so knowing that this fasting mechanic works in all of the domains of life, as soon as we're full, we stop pursuing that which we were pursuing before. Same thing in your relationship dynamic. You're comfortable and complacent inside your relationship. You're no longer hungry for the pursuit of the relationship. So utilizing this fasting mechanic just works across all domains. And so I'm going to break this down for you guys. I'm going to do a little drawing on this as we talk through this. And the seed that I'm going to plant for you is to do a 72-hour fast at some point within the next 2 weeks. And as we get into that, my ask of you is that you get a battle buddy to walk through this, because your first 24 hours are the most challenging. Beyond that is super easy. I'm going to walk you through exactly what to expect at each of these levels. But the stretch for you is to do a 72-hour fast, and a 72-hour fast from a physical standpoint, and have a battle buddy inside of the group that you do this with. And so a couple things to pay attention to from a scientific side. What happens in the, let's see if I can zoom this. There we go. That's better. In the first 12 hours, so your last meal and the first 12 hours, first thing that happens is there's an increase in insulin sensitivity. And so insulin is what happens. Insulin spikes in our blood after we take in carbohydrates or sugar. And so high level from macro standpoint, there are 3 macros that we consume. Protein, you know what protein is. Fat, these are going to be like coming from fish or oils, avocado, and then there's going to be carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is anything that has sugar in it, potatoes, chips, rice, all those are carbs, and they get converted quickly to glycogen. Glycogen is what our body utilizes as an energy source. It's the fastest, most responsive type of energy we can put into our body, but it also spikes insulin. Insulin is linked to diabetes. Insulin is also linked to lower cognition in our brain. And so the more insulin we have in our body increases inflammation. Yes, we get a fast response, but there's also typically a crash. And so if you've ever had a bunch of sugar, you realize you got this big energy spike. That is in response to a whole bunch of insulin inside your body, but then there's typically a crash. Cognition goes down, energy levels goes down, and inflammation goes up. Glycogen and glycogen and insulin are not the most effective fuel sources in the body. A more effective and longer term fuel source is our ketones, which is what you get by becoming fat adapted. And so that's essentially what we're going to be talking about in this. So the first benefit you're going to get is you're going to get a higher insulin sensitivity. It has all kinds of benefits inside of the body. The second piece is you start to peak growth hormone. So 12 hours without any food in your body, you start to release growth hormone. Now, there's a couple ways you can get growth hormone in your body. One, doing savage workouts. One, fasting and lowering insulin and cortisol inside your body. And third is you can go inject it. You can go to a doctor and they can prescribe you growth hormone. If you've seen Sylvester Stallone recently, he's got the gigantic chin over the last 20 years. It's because he takes a whole bunch of growth hormone. He was confiscated coming back from Australia a number of years ago, and it was this big thing in the media. But most, I say high performers, athletes at the high level are looking at ways that they can spike their growth hormone, whether it is artificially through injection or through mechanics like fasting. Growth hormone is a secret to anti-aging. It's going to help you burn more fat, build more muscle, feel better, sleep better, have a higher sex drive, reverse aging. Growth hormone is like a secret inside of the bodybuilding and human optimization space. And so growth hormone and testosterone both start to speak once you hit that 12-hour mark with no food. At 18 hours, you start to introduce a new process inside the body, and that is called autophagy. So autophagy is cellular cleaning. And so we're always creating new cells. But if your body is focused on digestion all the time, most of us eat every 4 to 5 hours. And so the body's energy is used to digest the food and put it into fuel source. At about the 18-hour mark, what it does, instead of digesting, because your body can really only do one thing at a time, instead of digesting, what it's doing is it starts to clean your cells inside your body. So autophagy is the process for it. If your body doesn't clean out the old dead cells, those old dead cells turn into, and cancer is like the worst end of the extreme, but it turns into cancerous cells, but it also turns into inflammation inside your body. And so this is like your internal vacuum system for your body that happens around the 18-hour mark. And so the old dead cells start to get recycled, cleaned out, and it goes into a process of protein synthesis. So the old cells get converted into protein molecules, which can be used to build the muscles inside your body. And so that's a pretty neat thing that's happening. You're literally cleaning out the system. Imagine if you had a car and you never changed the oil. how long would that car run having old, dirty, nasty oil? So the process of autophagy is something that activates right around the 18 to 20 hour mark. Next is you're going to be increased mental clarity as ketones start becoming present. And so your body is going to have a natural glycogen reserve. So the more fat you have on your body, the more you have carbs inside of your body, you're going to be responding from an energetic level to insulin and glycogen. Glycogen is what happens when carbohydrates, sugars, your bread, your rice gets converted into an energy source. As you deplete that and you start to switch over from glycogen over to ketones, your brain likes ketones better. Your brain likes fat better as an energy source. It's longer, it's more sustainable. And so you're going to get a boost in mental clarity. So right around 18 to 24 hours, that brain fog starts to disappear. And so any one of you that have ever dealt with focus issues, ADHD, problems concentrating, problems focusing, what starts to happen as you switch over to ketosis, that's where your body's using fat as an energy as opposed to glycogen as energy, you start to think more clearly. You start to become more focused. And so when you think about the scripture and the renewal of your mind, like this is the part where the scripture is really leaning to it. You're sacrificing that which is easy and comfortable, the sugars and the easy carbohydrates, and your brain is literally start to transform because you're thinking a little bit more clearly. The third piece that is happening around the 18-hour mark is thermogenesis is activated. So that's a big fancy word for your body is converting its the fat on its body into an energy source. So thermogenics is basically heating up the body frame to be able to burn the fat as an energy source. And so what happens here is your body and your metabolism become more efficient. And so if you've got visceral fat, if you've got fat inside your body is going to start utilizing the fat as an energy source rather than the insulin and the carbohydrates that were previously in your bloodstream. So you want to get lean, you want to get jacked, you want to be able to get rid of those love handles, you want to maintain single-digit body fat, you want to get those I say it's a little bit vulgar, but dick skin abs where you've got just the ab veins coming up from your abs. Like all of that comes down by activating your body's metabolism and switching over from glycogen over to ketones. 24-hour mark, what happens here, and so as ketones start to rise, hunger starts to drop. And so the first 18 to 20 hours of a fast are difficult. It's hard because you're like, I'm hungry. Your brain is signaling that you need sugar, that you need carbohydrates because it's shifting over from glycogen, which is going to, if you imagine like this, glycogen would be like gasoline in your car. And say you do a gasoline conversion to diesel conversion. Diesel's far more efficient. You're going to get more miles to the gallon and it just burns a little bit slower. And so it's like switching over the engine in your car. Around the 24-hour mark, your ketone levels rise naturally, which means your hunger starts to drop. And the cool thing about this is you get into this almost euphoric state where like, I haven't eaten in 24 hours, but I feel incredible. I feel absolutely incredible. And so that's one of the first benefits you're going to start seeing. You might get a little bit cold in this season. You might feel your body temperature starts to drop a little bit as you increase the demand on your body to burn the fuel. But other than that, your first 24 hours, that's the hardest part. The hardest part, hit that 24-hour mark, and then your body starts shifting over to ketones and everything starts getting better, which is pretty powerful. Increased mental clarity, decreased appetite, increase in BDNF. This is the brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And so you start to repair brain cells. Like this is the coolest part. If you ever felt like, man, I'm just not as sharp or as wise, I can't remember things as much, I'm having a hard time focus. The big part of the reason is that the insulin demand on the body is creating inflammation in your brain. Insulin is linked to so many neurodegenerative things like Alzheimer's, dementia, that there's significant studies on it. But the way that you can actually increase and improve your brain capacity is by the BDNF factor, so brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And you get that right around the 24-hour mark. And so there's also an increase in antioxidants. So we're always facing oxidative stress, inflammation, either from the external, from things that we're eating, from the environment. And our body has to produce antioxidants to be able to fight off those free radicals. In order to do that, we can obviously take in a diet that is high and rich in antioxidants, or again, we turn on that cellular cleaning process where we start to eliminate the old dead cells and start to activate healthy antioxidants inside the body. And so 24-hour mark is pretty powerful, because what we're doing is we're literally cleaning out the system, we're changing the oil, and we're running the system a little more efficiently. 36 hours is where the magic starts to happen. And so the 36-hour mark, you're not taking in any food. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the supplements you should be taking throughout this process. But the cool thing that happens at this 24-hour mark is you're going to be activating undifferentiated stem cells. And so stem cells, there's a whole bunch of research and science on this. And people are injecting it. It's about $5,000 to $25,000 to inject stem cells in different parts of the body. Stem cells are what build ligaments, joints, cartilage, muscle, everything inside the body. So if you want to heal faster, being able to activate undifferentiated, that means that they go anywhere where it's needed. So you've got old aches and pains, you've got inflammation in your neck, you've got old arthritis in your shoulders, you're fighting a sickness. The fastest, most effective way is to turn on your body's natural healing process. Your stem cells built you the way that you are. And so if you realize that I can turn these on inside the system, my body's got enough intelligence. God designed us to be able to heal ourselves. And all I need to do is activate them. So that's going to be one of the most powerful benefits right around that 36-hour mark. Blood pressure starts to drop. Heart rate starts to drop. You enter into a state of much more calmness and clarity. Brain is firing on ketones at this point. You're feeling absolutely amazing. Also, around the 36 to 40-hour mark, you're activating a protein. It's called a muscle-sparing protein. And so a lot of the meatheads in the space are athletes like, dude, I got to make sure I eat every 4 to 6 hours because I don't want to become anabolic, which is where I start eating the muscle that I've built. The truth of the matter is, between that 36 and 40-hour mark, your body is preserving its muscle, because muscle is the organ of longevity. So your body's smart enough to know, I need to spare the muscle. And so it activates a protein called muscle-sparing protein. Growth hormone spikes. It's between the 36 and 40-hour mark that your growth hormone activation is the highest, along with the stem cells. And so scientifically, you're not going to lose any muscle. You're not going to lose any muscle much beyond about the 60-hour mark. And that's a beautiful thing. And we're not talking about fasting every single week, but doing this as a regular practice once per month is a really powerful tool to gain intense clarity and also healing in the process. 48 hours, your ketones are absolutely at its height. You're entering into a state of euphoria, heightened sense of well-being, autophagy, so your cellular cleaning is at its peak state, and your improved cognitive thinking. I mean, it's through the roof. You're just being able to think clearly, calm, cool, collected. There's this spiritual piece. You look at every single spiritual teacher. I think about those in India that practice fasting for long periods of time. They just have this sense of enlightenment. It's because your brain is not digesting food. It takes significant energy to digest food. Instead, your body is focusing on maximizing the fuel that it already has. And all of us have 10, 15 pounds of visceral body fat that can be utilized as energy. And so all of the extra energy gets to go to our cognitive function and our brain. 60 hours, your enhanced fat burning through ketosis, liver, heart, and brain health is optimized. Your liver is the filtration system for your body. And so a lot of us will face some levels and different capacities of fatty liver syndrome, where alcohol, LSD, cocaine, maybe the previous drugs that we were using, any capacity, marijuana, all of that sits inside of our liver, and those toxins store up inside of our body. Long term, what that does is it's carrying around extra burden, extra weight inside the body. At the 50-hour to 60-hour mark, your brain is utilizing literally every energy source possible. And so it's running through all the different organs that previously had stored toxins. Autophagy is taking place. It's cleaning out the cells. Ketosis is like maximized. And so it's able to actually utilize that old stored up toxin base, clean it out through the lymphatic system, and help your body heal and regenerate. And so 60 hours, you're cleaning out the liver. Previously, if you've ever done liver damage, you've had spiked liver enzymes, this is a great way to clean up some of that old debt that we created just by poor living. enhance detoxification through the system by eliminating stored fats, and of course, increased energy. And when I say increased energy, you're going to feel like you've got a lot more energy. There are ways that you need to start changing your exercise output at this higher level. You're not going to be going and trying to PR inside the gym at hour 48 and 60. In fact, you're going to be really doing low impact cardio, walking, maybe low impact running. But the truth is, the purpose of this is not to maximize your athletic output, but to maximize your intellectual and your self-healing process. 72 hours, your body is maximizing its growth hormone. You're entering a state of deep relaxation, and ketosis is firmly established. So I've got a sheet with all of the terms discussed, and I'll share this with you guys. The big thing that I want to cover, and I know we're going to go a little bit over, but I want to cover what to expect in each of these different blocks and what you should be doing from an exercise as well as nutrition standpoint. And so I think this will pop up here. Yes, cool. All right. So within the first 12 to 18 hours, exercise as normal is okay. So this means if you are a lifter, if you're a runner, that 12 to 18 hour mark, you don't need to change anything in your workout style. In fact, I do something called a intermittent fasting. So I typically fast for 18 hours and I'll eat during a window of 6. And so most days throughout the week, that's how I like to eat. And so that means that I get to get all the benefits of this first 18-hour mark on a regular daily basis. About once per month, I do the full 72-hour fast, just as a cleansing process and to really activate my body's healing state. But first 18 hours, you don't need to change anything about your exercise. What you do need to do is increase your electrolytes. This is going to be your body's hydration and energy, your hydration and energy system. And so you got to make sure you stay hydrated throughout this entire process. And so electrolytes and exercise is what you do in the first 18 hours. After the first 24 hours, I do not lift. And so I do not lift. I don't do anything massively challenging inside the body. And so I'll walk nests, maybe a light jog, but it's going to be really low physical output. My goal here, again, is not to maximize my athletic output. My goal here is to maximize my brain and healing factor. And so anything beyond the 24-hour mark all the way through 72, there's no massive physical output. And the reason being is you don't have energy in your body. You don't want to over deplete. That will tax your nervous system, and it will fight against the cognitive benefits that you're getting. And so first 18 hours, exercise as normal, electrolytes to the roof. 18 hours and beyond, electrolytes always continue. And so a great electrolyte supplement that I take is LMNT. It's got a perfect combination of potassium, magnesium, and sodium, which your body needs to be able to shuttle the hydration coming from water, and also make sure that you are staying well calibrated through this process. So your body's going to be pulling nutrients from the fat, but you got to make sure that the electrical system inside your body is getting all the energy it needs, and that's what the electrolytes essentially help you do. And so I would typically do 1 packet in the morning, and then 1 packet in the afternoon. Let's say PM. There we go. And you can get these on Amazon, but it's sodium, magnesium, potassium, and you want to do, again, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. You're shooting for about 1 gallon a day and making sure that you've got those electrolytes in there as well. And then outside of that, that's all you got to do. You got to just know that in this first, let me switch colors here, this first 24-hour period, this is when you're going to want to quit the most. You're going to be challenged with hunger. You're going to be challenged with being really uncomfortable. It's going to feel very foreign. Your body is going to tell you that you're starving. Just drink more water. Make sure you've got the electrolytes in there. You can have black coffee, but black coffee is just going to speed up your metabolism, and there's typically a drop. If you struggle throughout this entire process and you're like, dude, I just have to eat something, but you really want to commit yourself all the way through, what you can do, and this is a little bit impure in the fasting state, but it's totally fine. You can do 1 tablespoon of butter, so grass-fed butter, and 1 tablespoon of MCT or coconut oil. coconut oil. There we go. That will keep you into a state of ketosis and allow you to get a little bit of calories inside your body. And so if this is your first 72-hour fast, and you're like, I really want to do this, but I can't even think straight, and you're forcing to fight yourself through it. You can take that 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. It will keep you in ketosis and it'll allow you to get through the next hurdle. The thing that you're looking for is to get your ketone levels high, and then your appetite's going to drop off completely. You're not even going to notice it. The way also to make sure that you are maximizing your body's ability to get into that state where it's utilizing fat as an energy source is really to pay attention to how you feel throughout the day. And so typically during this fast period, I'm not taking on any new challenges. And so what that means is if I'm starting a new job, like I'm not going to do that. If I'm in a season where I'm creating something and like I need to control as many variables as possible, I'm typically not going to do that. You want to do this when there's not going to be a whole lot of variables within the next week for you, just so that you can manage as much of the potential stress as possible. Again, the first 18, 24 hours, the most challenging. Beyond that, it gets significantly easier. And the benefits you guys will get right around this 36-hour mark, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't done this before. So this is high level, your fasting 101. And there we go. Cool. Everything you need to get started. Super simple. Electrolytes. Get them on Amazon. LMNT is a great one. And your gallon of water. Beyond that, if you need to get a little bit of calories in your body, grass-fed butter and coconut oil. Make sure there's no sugars in it. They're just fat. It'll help you stay fat adapted through the process. And that's all you need. All right, so let's talk about on the back end, because this is going to be just as important, the how to break your fast. So we have a better way to do this. There we go. There we go. At that 72-hour mark, you're going to want to be very careful with what you eat. And so breaking your fast, one of the worst things that you can do is go have a meal high in carbohydrates and spike your insulin and miss out on all the benefits of ketosis. And so what I suggest you do is you take 25% of your TD&E. That's your total energy expenditure in calories. And so let's just say you're on a 2,000 calorie meal plan. 2,000 calories is typically what you take in. The max that you'd want to take in is about 500 calories in that first meal. And you want that to be only protein and fat. So I'll simplify this. A great way to break your fast, bone broth, if you can get it, because it's really easy on the digestive system, and eggs, whole eggs. You can do like 4 to 6 eggs. That being your first meal, wait a couple hours, or you switch over this 18-6 model and just make that how you eat moving forward. I promise you guys, like you will get used to not having food inside of your body. The benefits far outweigh the comfort of having a cheeseburger super frequently. And so your first meal to break the fast, about 500 calories maximum, and protein and fat only. And so 4 to 6 eggs, some bone broth if you can, and then ease your way back into eating. You're going to notice what happens at this mark, just as Art was sharing, your sensitivity to food is going to completely change. You're going to be able to taste flavors. You're going to taste textures. You're going to enjoy the food so much more because you removed it from your life. And so your first meal is going to be like, oh my God, this is the best tasting egg I've ever had, or boring bone broth. Oh my God, it's so good. But you're going to appreciate it so much more. And the fuel is going to be responding inside your body much more efficiently and effectively. And so that'd be my recommendation for you, is after that, your first meal, 500 calories, protein, fat, and then decide whether or not you want to introduce carbohydrates back in. And if you do, what I love doing is doing something called carb cycling. And so when I see, cool. So following this 18-hour model, this is called, oh, here we go. There we go. So this is called intermittent fasting, IF, and it's an 18-6. So that means for 18 hours, I don't eat. 6 hours, I allow myself to eat. On the very back end of that 6 hours is when I have my carbohydrates. And so this is typically sweet potatoes, rice. This is, again, most days as I'm training, I'll eat carbs. So eat carbs at the last 6 hours, at 6 hours. So what that does, it actually allows me to stay in maximum ketosis up to the 24-hour mark. So your body, as it converts over to ketosis, protein and fat become your fuel source. As long as you don't introduce any carbohydrates, this is sugar, this is your sweet potatoes, this is your rice, this is your bread. As long as you don't introduce any carbohydrates, your body stays in ketosis. And so I know that I want the benefits of increased ketone levels, increased mental clarity, increase of BDNF, and increase antioxidants. And so I want to pull my carbohydrate intake into the very last hour so I can get as close to this as possible on a regular daily basis. And so I'll have my carbs, however that time frame works, as close to that end of that 24-hour eating period, or I'm sorry, the end of that 6-hour eating period, which is typically between 23 and 24 hours. And you just time your schedule around that. You eat your carbs, you're going to sleep amazing that night. You still get the benefits of a carbohydrate-rich diet, but then the next day you step into ketosis almost automatically. So you still get muscle building, you'll still get the energy if you're an athlete, you still get the ability to enjoy carbohydrates and meals, but you do it also from a standpoint of being able to maximize your body's internal energy system. That makes sense so far? Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you guys too long, and I do want to open up for some questions. So if anyone's got any questions, feel free, and I will share this chart with you.